Hey y'all, welcome to Paige's Perspective, where I help you find your inner strength to cope with life. In this week's episode, I want to talk about being an optimist, a pessimist, or a realist. Each of these perspectives can be useful in many different situations, and I consider myself a realist most of the time. Like, it's protected me over the years. And, we live in a world where people say, focus on the positive, or just be grateful, or even I've heard before, just be grateful your partner isn't drinking anymore. And this can be very dismissive to the feelings of others. And reality isn't positive. Reality is everything. When we see reality, we're able to truly push forward. Okay. So before I really get into this, let's look at what the differences are within these perspectives. An optimist, we know they typically see the positive side of things and expect good outcomes and that all challenges can be overcome and things will generally turn out well. They're very hopeful and often focus on the potential opportunities rather than obstacles. And there's definitely a time and place for this, guys. And a realist tries to see things as they are without overemphasizing either the positive or negative aspects. They aim for a balanced and pragmatic view, focusing on the practical solutions. And they consider both the pros and cons of a situation and tend to rely on facts and evidence when making decisions. They're neither overly hopeful nor overly cynical. A pessimist tends to see the negative side of things and expects bad outcomes. They often anticipate problems and focus on what could go wrong. They may be more cautious and often expect the worst, which can lead to a sense of preparedness, but also to a more negative overall outlook. So, if you've listened to our episodes, we mentioned the process of being naive to being cynical to having the wisdom by finding the balance and solving problems utilizing the knowledge you gain while working on personal development. Here's the thing. We go through these perspectives in all areas of our lives, during our entire lives, not just within our relationships. We can be wise at work and naive at home. We could be optimistic with our kids and pessimistic with people in general. It's not the same for all situations. Sometimes we can go too far to one side when the goal is really to find the balance in these perspectives. So I was part of an unhealthy positivity movement a few years ago, and I was naive. I fell for the stay positive and good things will come your way words. I got sucked into something that I don't regret because that experience taught me a lot, but I see it for what it is now. And recently, I was also naive in a program that really helped me, but I should have known it was too good to be true since the group was so focused on being positive. When programs tell you to just stay positive, this is unrealistic. So within this part of my life, I'm a bit cynical and pessimistic. And I realize now even more how important authenticity and reality are. People need to be heard and validated and understood before they can even start healing. Most of the time, that means they may have a bit of negativity at first, or sometimes they may have too much positivity and, being in denial because it's scary to go to the negative side of things. But when things begin to unravel, they may understand the negative side of things, and then eventually it balances out into reality. We at TUFO are very transparent. We believe in sharing our experiences, negative or positive, to help others trust their instincts again and make empowering decisions. If we just focus on the positive parts of this crazy life, we would end up burned over and over again. And we may stay stuck in denial or the naive phase, which means things will progressively worsen because if we don't face reality, that's how it goes. And then cynicism is the negative side of things, which is actually a bit better than the optimistic denial phase, even though it stings and a lot of things begin to unravel. It's okay to be here for a minute. It's part of the awakening process. I refuse to turn a blind eye on shitty behaviors that impact me. I refuse to shove things under the rug by just keeping my side of the street clean. Our community is full of people going through difficult things at different times. And we have the optimists, we have the pessimists, and the realists. We have people who are still in it with their partner. We have those who have left their partners or have been left. And we have those who have a partner in recovery. The group is full of positive and negative, even though I really like to just use the word reality. I feel like the labels of positive and negative have gone too far to either side, so I like to find the balance. Byron Katie is a well-known spiritual teacher and author who emphasizes a deep acceptance of reality in her work. She's best known for her method called The Work, which she has mentioned accepting reality leads to inner peace. When we stop resisting what is and accept life as it unfolds, we can find a sense of calm and contentment. This doesn't mean passivity or inaction, but rather a clear-minded approach to dealing with the challenges that life brings us. And this is partly what our work does too. We encourage people to focus on reality. What is holding you back? What is causing you pain? What is the reality of your situation and what can you do about it? Acceptance doesn't mean tolerating it. It means you accept that this is your reality and change may be necessary. So reality is a good thing. Even though it's scary and may seem negative, it just is. It's there. You cannot resist it. You cannot turn a blind eye. You cannot just stay positive and hope for the best. Action must occur when we find acceptance of reality. And guys, there are obviously times to be optimistic, like when we're trying to build ourselves up. And I understand how positive vibes can be great for us to push forward in so many instances. I also understand the importance of finding joy in the little things and doing things that make you happy. I'm really referring to really big problems like being married to an alcoholic, addict, narcissist, or an unhealthy work environment, all the things that impact us in our health. This is partly why our community is based on reality. We have some venting, which may be negative, and we have self-care check-ins and weekly challenges so people can show their growth, which is positive. It's a mixture. It's a balance. You get to witness the growth. You get to be a part of the growth. My entire social media platform life has been about vulnerability and non-highlight reels. I want authenticity. I want to see the good, the bad, and everything in between. I would post my wins and my struggles, not just the positive or just the negative. It's fake if we just allowed positivity in the world or our community. It's real, it's raw, it's genuine, and people feel heard. So what's better, optimism, pessimism, or realism? It's not about one perspective being better than the other. It depends on the situation. So an optimist's positive energy might be crucial during a challenging time to keep their spirits high. Like I like to bring positive energy to those struggling to them, letting them know that they are not powerless and they're stronger than they think. And I encourage them to find their inner strength, which takes positivity. A realist's practical approach might be better when making relationship or financial decisions. A pessimist's caution can be invaluable in high-stakes situations where staying stuck has significant consequences. So I like to integrate aspects of all three of these perspectives, maintaining optimism to stay motivated, realism to stay grounded, and a touch of pessimism to stay cautious. These can all lead to the most balanced and effective approach to life's challenges. So I would love for our listeners to explore these perspectives and challenge your thoughts. If you've got a pen and paper, get it out. If not, just hear me out here. Think of a recent situation where you felt stuck. It could be in your relationship, work, or anything you feel has been challenging to resolve. What are your immediate thoughts and feelings? Did you lean more towards optimism, realism, or pessimism? Then reflect on how you would approach it with optimism. What positive outcomes could happen? How might you focus on improvement for growth? What actions can you take to create a positive change? Now reflect on how you would approach the situation with a realistic perspective. What are the facts of the situation? What are the possible outcomes, both positive and negative? How could you address the situation practically and effectively? If you were to approach the situation with a pessimistic mindset, ask these questions. What are the potential risks or dangers? How might things go wrong, and what's the worst case scenario? What steps could you take to protect yourself from these outcomes? Now I want you to compare your responses. How do your responses differ when viewing the situation through each perspective? Which perspective feels more comfortable to you? Which perspective challenges you the most? Now, based on your reflections, how can you integrate elements of optimism, realism, and pessimism to approach the situation more effectively? And what specific actions will you take moving forward? I may need to make an actual worksheet on this because I think it is extremely helpful. I'm doing it for myself and I'm more confident in my decisions based on this process. and realizing, reality is huge. Shifting optimism into yourself is the most wonderful gift you can give yourself. Using pessimism in difficult situations may save your life. Don't dismiss negativity as it's meant to keep you safe. Sticking to the facts is helpful as well because it's reality. Our mission, we've mentioned this so many times, is to veer. Validate, educate, empower, and help you on your recovery journey. Validating is optimistic. Sometimes it can have a little bit of pessimism in there because of the situation that you're dealing with. But educating is a mixture of all three perspectives, and empowering is extremely optimistic. So I'm challenging you all to balance all of these perspectives in a way that is useful for you. Thank you guys so much for being here. That's all I have for this week. So until next time, I'm Paige. Bye.